Hello and welcome to another video where I talk about the new Crown Tundra Pokemon and their usability in VGC setting against Series 5 Pokemon and Series 7 Pokemon, the new Pokemon in Crown Tundra. Of course, mostly that being legendaries. With that being said, today's video will be focusing on first 3 Ultra Beasts. I'm probably going to divide this into 3 videos as I've said in that video. First, we're going to be taking a look at Nihilego, Pheromosa and Buzzwole. Tomorrow, we should be taking a look at Cartana, Celesteela, and Circuit 3, if I recall correctly. And in the last video, 2 days from now, we should be taking a look at Nihilego, Blacephalon, and Sakataka. Again, with that being said, let's inspect the new movesets and look at their usability against the new Crown Tundra Pokemon. Alright, so Nihilego. We can still see these Pokemon actually. That's good because next time I will have to probably fix the overlay to look a bit more into the more down Pokemon that are a bit more down. That being said, you can see Nihilego, but for now it's enough. So Nihilego, Rock Slide, Rock Tomb. I'm really surprised they didn't get that before, honestly. Not sure what it was that about, honestly, but it got Rock Slide and Rock Tomb now, so you can be happy about its measly 50 attack and usability with Cross Poison, Body Slam. Wow. Well, Nihilego got dropped. I can imagine it using something like Mystical Fire in my head, but nope. I guess it doesn't get that. It gets Hex though, so if you want Max Phantasm on Nihilego, feel free to do that. But let's look at something more interesting, that being Buzzwole. They're getting not only Revenge and Body Slam, but most importantly, Close Combat, something what it wanted to have since Generation 7. That being said, it got Superpower before, but that lowers the attack, and if you're Ultra Beast which boosts the attack, you most likely want to boost your attack and not just negate it with the superpower drop. Like, you KO the Pokemon, you get attack boost, but immediately after that, superpower drops the attack to neutral level again. Something like Buzzwole doesn't really want, so Buzzwole is really happy for Close Combat. Now, it also got Darkest Lariat, so it can defend against Psychic types a bit better. Again, that being said, the Tapu Lele, like probably the most popular Psychic type, won't care about its attack. But Darkest Lariat is also additional way to deal with something like Dragapult. Of course, you got Ice Punch before, so that's probably the most consistent way to deal with it right now, especially since Ice Punch actually hits the flying types, if you're gonna survive one attack from that being said. But Darkest Lariat is additional way to deal with Psychic types and also deal with Dragapult, so that's also useful. Yeah, Darkest Lariat is also more powerful than Ice Punch in before you dmax, so that's also useful. And it also got a high horsepower as a single target ground type attack, so I think these are some good buffs for Buzzwole. Pheromosa now gets Assurance. Well, Pheromosa is already just so fast that it, for example, outspeeds Modest Tapu Lele if it goes Jolly. To the point I don't think Assurance is going to be very useful move on it, unfortunately. Unless you get like Timid Tapu Lele or Adamant Pheromosa, which could work out, right? So that's one thing the Pheromosa can use. And it got Close Combat. Honestly, I would probably still use High Jump Kick because... Actually, why would I use High Jump Kick when it's going to faint in one hit anyways, right? So, you're gonna see in calculations actually, later in this video, how it could possibly be important to not get your defense dropped. But for now, let's just say High Jump Kick and Close Combat are both YOLO for Pheromosa because of her really low defenses. It's just ridiculously low defenses. With that being said, we inspected the new moves. Let's move on to the sets. And I'm probably going to explain those sets really quickly, unless it's possible, because the sets are pretty self-explanatory. Power Gem, like, Nihilego is a very unique Pokemon, right? Rock Poison typing has never been seen before, and yet to be seen again. So, Rock Poison typing gives it very unique offensive coverage, that is, and you should exploit that to the full with the Power Gem and Sludge Bomb being its 2 primary stab attacks. Then you can go for pretty much anything. I'm pretty sure it doesn't get... Oh, it gets Stunner actually. That's interesting. You could go for Max Lightning. You could go for max Grass Knot, you can go for Dazzling Gleam like I am right now, because I want extra fairy coverage for something like a Dragapult, that is. Dragapult will be popular and you cannot do anything about that, so why not exploit that? You could use like Mirror Code, I think it... Oh wait a minute, we forgot to look at one more point, and that is Isle of Armor, new moves. So yeah, Nihilego got Meteor Beam, so you can use it with Power Hub. Thank god I remember that. You can use it with Power Herb to immediately raise the special attack and then strike back with ridiculous amount of force, because Nihilego's special attack, base special attack is pretty high as you can see here, so it definitely can use that combination. Dual Wing Beat on Buzzwole gives it extra flying coverage, so you can go for some max airstreams if you want to. But if you're going to use Assault Vest set, you're pretty busy with the coverage anyways, so I would not recommend it. But it's an option, always lingering in the shadows when you least expect it. Both Pheromosa and Buzzwole actually got coaching. Pheromosa being arguably the better Pokemon to use it, since it's just so fast. So that could be cool support set for Pheromosa, but again, if you want support coaching user, I would highly recommend running Riolu for the extra fast coachings, because it's priority coaching, that is. They both are going to use Focus Sash, but why not use priority coaching when you... why not use not priority coaching when you can use priority coaching? And for defensive coaching, I would probably say Mian Xiao is better supporter and Cobalion is better defensively, so Pheromosa just is kind of suboptimal in all the cases. Fast, support, and defensive coaching, all of them are done better by other Pokemon. Alrighty, yeah, by the way, I did not see the other tab last video, so I used the old Pokemon Hope data mine, but tapping video should be good enough anyways. Alrighty, so as I said, my opinion on this set, you want max Turfle for Dragapult honestly, so I think that's the best coverage move for Nihilego, but don't fear to experiment around with the other moves. I myself think that Dazzling Gleam is better though. Alrighty, so we got the set explained. You want max speed to just have as much speed as you can, because you want to add speed is base 100, and maybe even outspeed the Garchomp and one-shot with max Turfle as well, so again, another reason to use it, because I feel Garchomp is not going to be useless Pokemon, even though Landorus is going to be more usable in more spots. Garchomp is not going to be useless Pokemon, in my opinion at least. It's unique Pokemon, it can do some nasty shenanigans with Sand while it's faster, and it got... I think both got Swords Dance, but Garchomp is faster Swords Dancer, so it's, again, a better Swords Dancer if you want to use Swords Dance Landorus or Garchomp. So outspeeding this could be very beneficial for you, especially since you outspeed it and you like Hand Power Ice right now. That being said, I'm gonna swap back to my official calc document and let's see how are we going to go over with Life Orb offensive calculations first. Let's go over these real fast actually. Life Orb Nihilego Max Ooze against Tapu Lele. If it's Life Orb Max Ooze, it's a guaranteed one-shot. Life Orb Nihilego Max Ooze against this defensive Tapu Fini. Does a lot of damage but doesn't one-shot. Life Orb Nihilego's Max Ooze against Assault Vest Rillaboom. Unfortunately, you do not one-shot that. It's kind of unfortunate. It's pretty close to one-shotting, but not good enough. So watch out for Assault Vest Rillabooms, because they will most likely one-shot you back with high horsepower if you run Life Orb set. I've seen a lot of high horsepower Rillabooms lately. Life Orb Nihilego Max Rockfall against dmax Thunderous is a guaranteed one-shot. Very cool. Life Orb Nihilego Max Rockfall against very special defensive Incineroar is always a one-shot. So even if they run max special defense, it's always a one-shot, so that's very cool. Life Orb Nihilego Max Rockfall against Landorus Styrian form is a guaranteed one-shot. And same Max Rockfall applies for Dracovish as well. So again, very cool that you actually give up most of these Pokemon on the spot. Now let's go over some more calculations. Life Orb Nihilego Max Rockfall against Heatran. That's about 70%. Nihiligo's Max Rockfall against dynamax Venusaur is a guaranteed to hit KO. Or 94% to one-shot, to hit KO. With Life Orb Recall and Sand Damage included, so that's very cool. And you actually remove the Sun from them as well, because you set up Sandstorm with Max Rockfall, so that's very cool. But watch out, they will most likely set up max quake, so it's kind of irrelevant, unfortunately. And life from Nihilego max starfall against Urshi for rapid strikes is a guaranteed one-shot. Now, also you should be seeing the max starfall calculation against Garchomp right now, because I didn't calculate right on my calc document. I'm gonna show it right now on your screen, so... Now let's go over some more calculations. If you get +1 special attack, Life 4 +1 special attack max starfall against dynamax Dragapult is a guaranteed one-shot. That's indeed very cool, because you can get Tailwind support for Nihilego. Like, honestly, it's Pokemon built for Tailwind support. It has unique coverage and it's pretty fast, so if you manage to get +1 special attack and you're in Tailwind, you will outspeed any one-shot Dragapult. Now, for some non-life orb calculations, max Rockfall against Togekiss is a guaranteed one-shot, and max Rockfall against special defensive Incineroar that takes max Quake from Venusaur, again, is a guaranteed one-shot. So, these are some non-life orb calculations if you want to run something like Focus Sash on Nihilego. Also, I highly doubt max Ooze one-shot Tapu Lele, because, well... I actually have written it down, the calculations. It's 62% to one-shot non-life orb Tapu Lele without life orb, so watch out for that. You won't one-shot that unless you run Modest. And now for some defensive calculations for Nihilego. Tapu Lele's Psychic against Dynamax Nihilego in Psychic Terrain is a 85% to 2-hit KO. Rillaboom's high horsepower against Nihilego, even if it's Dynamax Nihilego, is a guaranteed one-shot, so watch out for that. Life Orb's Libero's Cinderace Max Steel Spike against Dynamax Nihilego is a guaranteed one-shot. After all, as you're seeing right now, the Nihilego's defense is pretty low. Oh well. Life Orb Libero, Cinderace G-Max, Max Knuckle against Dynamax Nihilego is a guaranteed 2-hit KO, so again, watch out for that. And they will get the attack boost as well on the turn before, so yeah, it's a guaranteed 2-hit KO. Life Orb's Dragapult Max Phantasm against Dynamax Nihilego that's about 75%, 78% maximum. Rillaboom's Grassy Glide against Dynamax Nihilego in Grassy Terrain is guaranteed 3-hit KO, so if they do not have the high horsepower, you will get 3-hit KO'd. Max Lightning, Physical Max Lightning from Tundra's Life Orb is guaranteed 2-hit KO, very cool. Lydra's Tyrian Earthquake against Dynamax Nihilego is still a one-shot, so even though you Dynamax, you're still going to get one-shotted. Kind of a shame though. I kind of expected that to survive, but oh well. Now, for one of the most important calculations, Life Orb Venusaur Max Quake against Dynamax Nihilego does not one-shot. I was very surprised by this calculation. It does 77 to 91%, so that doesn't one-shot, and that's very surprising. At least to me. You will get at least one more attack off and maybe one shot, for example, Torkoal, even with +1 special defense, honestly. Tyranitar's Max Rockfall against Dynamax Nihilego does about 65%. Metagross's Max Steel Spike, of course, is a guaranteed one-shot. And Max Quake from Heatran in Sand is actually 2-hit KO. 76% to 2-hit KO. If they Earth Power, of course, it's a 3-hit KO, but... if you count it on you surviving this attack, or it being 3-hit KO in Sand, don't expect it to do that. Wonderful. We just talked about Nihilego. Now let's go over a Buzzwole. Thank you for your patience, for me yawning. Alrighty, so I calculated a bunch of stuff here, different types, so... Alright, wait a minute, this spread, okay, so Leech Life and Close Combat are for the stab attacks. I want to make as much use out of my stab attacks and Dynamax from as possible. Ice Punch is for Pokemon like Dragapult, or for Pokemon like Togekiss, or I think even Tapu Koko doesn't really appreciate his attack. But for also Landorus, for example, if you get the... or Thunderous, of course, so like you got a bunch of like calculations you can abuse with Ice Punch. And Thunder Punch is mainly for Tapu Fini, Primarina, and Cresselia. No, I mean Celesteela as well, right? I'm looking at the calculations here, so what I wanted to calculate with these things. EV spread will be explained later in this video, of course, because well, you're gonna see the calculations while calculated this way. So let's go over some calculations to immediately expect or explain the set. Buzzwole's Max Flutterby against Sapulele is a guaranteed one-shot. Buzzwole's Max Knuckle against Dynamax Tyranitar is not one-shot, but close combat is of course a guaranteed one-shot, so you know Dynamax that if you want to one-shot that. Buzzwole's Max Knuckle against 1252 HP Heatran, again not a one-shot. But even with max attack, you do not one-shot guaranteed, so it doesn't really matter. If you want the risk though, you can go for max attack and just YOLO your way in, but I wouldn't recommend it. -1 Buzzwole Max Hellstorm against Dynamax Landorus does 71 to 84%. So if they don't Dynamax, it's a guaranteed one-shot with Ice Punch. That's very cool because you get the attack boost as well and get your attack drop back. Or I mean attack boost back to neutral attack. Buzzwole's Max Knuckle against Stakataka is a guaranteed one-shot, very cool. And Max Knuckle against Defensive Kartana, that's mostly used on Assault Vest set, is a almost guaranteed one-shot as well, so it's 93%, right? That's pretty cool. Buzzwole's Max Hellstorm against Dynamax Tundras, that's 69 to 81%, very similar to Dynamax Landorus that is, but a bit less damage. And now for Max Lightning calculations. Max Lightning against Tapu Fini, it does 76 to 91%. Max Lightning against Primarina, because Primarina has such a bad defense, is a guaranteed one-shot, so that's a difference. Buzzwole's Max Flutterby against Standard Defensive Cresselia, which was used in previous generations. We don't know what's going to be using in generations now, but as I explained in the video before, it will probably use like 156 defense with Bold Nature to survive Life Orb, Dragon Bolt's Max Phantasm. So unfortunately, if you don't run Buzzwole with Life Orb, you won't ever one-shot, as it's evident with this calculation. Yeah. Brain farted for a second, sorry about that. -1 Buzzwole's Max Knuckle against Incineroar, that's 64 to 76%. So even if you have neutral attack, you won't one-shot them, unfortunately. You actually will, but they will most likely run more defense to counteract Metagross, so again, as I've said many times in these videos though. Buzzwole's Max Hellstorm against Dynamax Togekiss does not one-shot, even non-Dynamax Togekiss, unfortunately, but yeah, well, that's the way it works, right? And the Max Hellstorm against Tapu Koko does 63 to 74%. So if you hate Tapu Koko, by the way, you can use Max Quake from Harrisford or Earthquake. But that's really rare, and if they Dynamax, the Max Quake should not one-shot them again, so it's gonna be kind of conflicting information. Alright, so what's the defensive EV spread about? So I wanted, for some reason, I just really wanted to take 2 Psychics from Tapu Lele in Psychic Terrain, or 2 Expanding Forces, and we accomplished that with this EV spread. So Tapu Lele's Psychic against Assault Vest Dynamax, Buzzwole and Psychic Terrain has only 11% to 2-hit KO. That's humongously useful. It's not very useful, but you can get the idea how ridiculous, especially bulky and physically bulky this Buzzwole is as well, because it got 160 defense, right? Because it has very high base defense stat. Life Orb Dragon Bolt Max Airstream against Dynamax Buzzwole is not a one-shot either, just because of how high the defense is, it does not one-shot. That's very cool indeed. Landorus's Max Airstream though is a bit too much for Buzzwole. It's a stab, 4 times effective attack. Coming from something as strong as Landorus is a guaranteed one-shot, unfortunately. Heatran's Max Flare against Dynamax Assault Vest Buzzwole has 92% to 2-hit KO. Kind of expected that, unfortunately, but oh well. Especially if it's set up Sun. Metagross +2 Metagross's Max Mindstorm against Dynamax Buzzwole is only 50% a one-shot. I was really surprised by that. That's very surprising to me, even though I'm looking at it right now. I didn't look at the calculator document for like 3 days now, so wow, it survives that. And Max Mindstorm will be rare on Metagross because it wants more coverage moves. Libero's Max Airstream from Sunrays is a guaranteed one-shot, but without Life Orb, they actually won't one-shot you. So if you go up against something like Assault Vest Sunrays, expect yourself to survive this attack with this EV spread. Primarina's Max Starfall against Assault Vest Dynamax Buzzwole is a 86% to 2-hit KO. It's Max Starfall from Dynamax, so you can't really expect much. Life Orb Tapu Koko's Max Airstream into Dynamax Buzzwole, that being from physical Life Orb set with Brave Bird, Wild Charge and Play Rough, is a 2-hit KO again. Cool. Flare Blitz against dmax Buzzwole from Incineroar is 27% of free hit KO, so that's quite brutal. And Tapu Koko's Dazzling Gleam against dmax Buzzwole is a possible 6 hit KO. Wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh well, with that, yeah, I explained the EV spreads pretty much by the calculations, so if you have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section, of course. And let's go over to Pheromosa. So, actually, because these Pheromosas are so different, each one of them are so different, I might as well say the defensive calculations first, because they're just so similar to each other. So defensive calculations first on Pheromosa. Alrighty. So if you somehow manage to outspeed Tapu Lele, which is not a difficult task because you actually outspeed one is Tapu Lele, and you lower its special attack, Moonblast from Tapu Lele against dmax Pheromosa -1 special attack has only 12% to one-shot. Of course, you have to factor in Life Orb Recall as well, so it has a higher chance to one-shot. Life from Tapu Koko's Dazzling Gleam against dmax Pheromosa is not a one-shot either. Tapu Lele's Moonblast from timid Tapu Lele is a guaranteed one-shot though, so here are some Tapu calculations. Now, Incineroar's Flare Blitz against dmax Pheromosa is again a guaranteed one-shot. Kartana's Max Steel Spike against dmax Pheromosa is not a guaranteed one-shot, so that's kinda cool because that's almost Kartanas will use for the attack. Ladros's Tyrian Form Rock Slide against dmax Pheromosa is a guaranteed 4-hit KO, but again, this is just Rock Slide from non-stab, so nothing to celebrate about. But this one is interesting though. Choice Band Tapu Bulu Grassy Glide against Pheromosa and Grassy Terrain is 3% to 2-hit KO with Grassy Terrain recovery. Again, you have to factor in Life Orb Recall, but I really thought this calculation was cool because it's Choice Band Tapu Bulu Grassy Glide. It's resisted, I know, but it's not a one-shot, so that's accomplishment. Heatwave's Heatran's Heatwave against dmax Pheromosa is 75% one-shot, but again, if you want to invest for that, you will most likely have to factor in Life Orb Recall as well, because Pheromosa is just made for Life Orb, pretty much. And Urshifu Single Strike Wicked Blow against dmax Pheromosa is a guaranteed 3-hit KO. Again, it's resisted. Wait a minute, is that Quadra resisted? I'm not sure, because of the bug typing. We can actually test that immediately. We should, actually, I'm gonna test that immediately. Weak bug fighting. No, it's just yeah, it's resisted only once. Sorry about that again. But I was really surprised by how little damage does that do. So, well, you would be like, it's just look at these defenses, 37 defenses. Well, it's Pheromosa for you. Anyways, let's go over some more defensive calculations. Actually, we want to start with a physical Life Orb defensive set. So again, if you want to use Close Combat or High Jump Kick, it's based on your preference. High Jump Kick does a bit more damage. In Dynamax form, they do same damage, but outside of Dynamax form, High Jump Kick could be kind of beneficial for extra power. Launch again for the unique coverage moves it provides. Drill Run is to do massive damage to something like a Tapu Koko, and Full Play is again to do some massive damage to something like Dragon Bolt or the other ghost types that normally would resist the bug types max Lullaby. So you're kind of like Grim Reaper to these Trick Room setters this way. You do not hit the ghost type Trick Room setters with a stab, but you still hit very hard with Full Play. Or you can use, I think it learned something new. It gets Throat Chop as well, so you can Throat Chop if you want to. But that's as much. Go over the calculations real quick, I'm just talking too much. Alright, so physical Life Orb defensive. Life Orb, Pheromosa Max Darkness against Dynamax Dragon Bolt does not one-shot, but does 76 to 91%. So if you got something like a Scarf Tapu Lele next to it, feel free to one-shot the Dragon Bolt, even if there are bulky weakness pluses set, and even if you get intimidated on Pheromosa, for example. But again, you have to be careful about getting intimidated, because Incineroar will most likely just boom, Flare Blitz into you, so watch out for that. Pheromosa's Max Darkness against Eviolite Max Defense Dusclops does 56 to 67%. But you lower their special defense, so something like, again, Choice Scarf, but as Pheromosa, Lele will be going for -1 We'll be going for expanding force into -1 for Dusclops, so that will most likely finish it off. So that's kind of cool. Life Orb Pheromosa max Quake against Dynamax Heatran is 75% one-shot. So if they don't Dynamax and they have Sugar Berry, it's 75% one-shot as well. Kind of cool calculation I wanted to show you. Life Orb Max Knuckle against Dynamax Tyranitar is 81% one-shot. That's again very cool, since you're gonna... Oh, you're gonna get Speed Boost, unfortunately, but oh well, it's kind of cool calculation anyways. Life Orb Pheromosa Max Flutterby against Tapu Lele is of course a guaranteed one-shot because Tapu Lele's defense is so squishy. +2. Oh yeah, I wanted to calculate Full Play against Dynamax Metagross, that's +2 attack. So, if you use Foul Play against Dynamax Metagross, that's +2 attack, you do 62 to 73%, and you do not consume your Dynamax, so that could be a little rogue play you can do with this Pheromosa that Throat Chop would not be able to do. Draw 52 attack Life Orb Pheromosa Max Darkness against Dynamax Metagross is 7% to do it go. Of course, it's Metagross, it's invincible, unfortunately. Max Quake against Dynamax Nihilego. Well, you one-shot it. You do minimum amount of 717 damage. That's brutal. Life Orb Pheromosa Max Knuckle against Standard Kartana. Assaultless Kartana is a guaranteed one-shot. Max Quake against Tapu Koko does 456% minimum to 184% maximum. So if they Dynamax, you won't be able to one-shot them, and it will most likely one-shot you back with Max Starfall. Even if you have +1 special defense status, because you just are so squishy. And you get Life Orb most likely as well. Life Orb Pheromosa Max Quake against Sunrise G-Max. If they Dynamax, there's 80 to 15, 95%. Wow, I'm really not in my skin today. But if you go for Expanding Force, like Tapu Lele's choice of Expanding Force, you will be able to finish it off. Even maybe with Dazzling Gleam if you get lucky. Life Orb Pheromosa Max Knuckle against Incineroar, if you get -1, that's 79 to 95%. Again, what a perfect day to go for Dazzling Gleam against the Incineroar, isn't it? For Life -1 Pheromosa High Jump Kick against Incineroar, Life Orb that is a guaranteed one-shot, so if you don't want a Dynamax and you got Psychic Terrain, just go for High Jump Kick, one-shot the Incineroar. A Dynamax on as useful as Metagross in the back, so that could be worthwhile. Again, and against the standard defensive Cresselia that takes my Life Orb Max Phantasm from Dragapult, you actually have 50% of one-shot, so again, don't fear to use Dazzling Gleam to finish it off. So again, yeah, that's the physical Life Orb offensive. Now let's go over the special Pheromosa. Unfortunately, it doesn't have that much of a good coverage, unlike the physical Pheromosa has. It has Ice Beam, it has Bug Buzz, it has Focus Blast, and I thought Electro Web would be cool because you got the you can transform into max move, so it's quite useful to use Electro Web, honestly. So I thought I would calc some of these stuff with Electro Web. Overall, Pheromosa is just such a yellow Pokemon that you might not want to use Protect in the first place. So let's go over some special Life Orb calculations. Unfortunately, you lose the opportunity to one-shot Tapu Lele, making it again kind of instantly worse variant of Pheromosa. Life Orb Pheromosa Max Flutterby from Bug Buzz, it has only 56% one-shot. Life Orb Pheromosa Max Knuckle against Dynamax Tyranitar in Sand has 71 to 84% it does this much damage. Life Orb Pheromosa Max Lightning against Tapu Fini, the standard Tapu Fini, that's 66 to 77%. Life Orb Pheromosa Max Hailstorm against Assault-Vest Dynamax Liner is Styrian form. You actually one-shot them, even if they're Assault-Vest and Dynamax, so that's very cool. That's one thing that the other Pheromosa cannot do, and would not be able to do, even if it chose to use Ice Beam coverage with negative nature on special attack. Life Orb Pheromosa Max Knuckle against Heatran is a guaranteed one-shot, so that's quite cool. Life Orb Pheromosa Max Flutterby, again from Bug Buzz, against the quite special defensive Cresselia, is not a one-shot, but if they are running the standard set that I showed you last calculation, the physical set that takes Max Phantasm from Dragapult, you will be actually able to one-shot that pretty safely. So that's something, again, that the physical set could not do. We're finding some differences now, and advantages. Like for Pheromosa Max Hailstorm from Blizzard, which means you're going to get extra 10 base power in the Dynamax form. You do not one-shot Tapu Koko. I remember pretty faithfully that something like Icy Z back in Generation 7, you could create like Z-move from Ice Move, and you could actually one-shot Tapu Koko. That was pretty funny, but unfortunately you cannot replicate it anymore, since the Life Orb left extra damage does not compensate for the Z-move's 195 base power. So you have 62% one-shot Tapu Koko. Life Orb for Moses Max Flutterby against Dynamax Metagross is 16% to 2-hit KO. And Max Knuckle from Life Orb Pheromosa against Sunrise G-Max, 26% to 2-hit KO. Max Hailstorm against Dynamax Thunderous, even if you're Life Orb and you use Blizzard, you never one-shot Thunderous, and they of course get a speed boost and one-shot you back with Max Airstream. But again, if they get Life Orb Recall and they get some high damage in there as well, you might be able to just KO Thunderous. That's quite cool. And Life Orb Pheromosa Max Knuckle against the standard Incineroar that takes the Max Quake from Venusaur, Life Orb Max Quake, is actually one-shot guaranteed now. So that's again another advantage special set has over the physical one. And for Pheromosa's Max Hailstorm against Dynamax Togekiss, you do 50 to 58%. That's all I have to probably say, man. Well, you don't one-shot them, but if they don't Dynamax, you will be one-shotting them in one hit. So again, that's kind of cool. If you have Blizzard Max Hailstorm, that is. That's it for this video, and for we showed you some good calculations, and next time I'll catch you with Cortana, Celesteela, and Circuitry. So until next time, have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.